Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention, I thank you very much, Tom, for coming. Honestly, man, thank you for everything you've said. Honestly, man, it's really appreciated. And Joe, mate, thank you so much as well. I think Joe's gone. Oh, the Joe's still there. Thank you as well, Joe. Thank you very much. It's always good to share these, talk about these things. It's really cool, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate you guys. I'm sorry if I sound rushed or anything. I know we're on a time frame. That's what makes it hard.
Nah, it's all right, man. It's all good.
Yeah, if Tom, you're still there, man, I wish quantum physics was empirical.
It is.
It's not. No,
No, it is. It is.
uncertainty principle alone
Evidence
destroys
of
that whole
quantum
myth.
physics.
No, it's
Quantum
all empirical.
really is
So
the
I mean, I can
least
prove that.
empirical science known to man, man. It's crazy.
No, I can prove that. It's pretty simple. Like
No, you
empirical doesn't.
can't. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
can.
If it was
I'm
empirical,
sorry.
if it was always the same, we wouldn't have to have. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
90%
So
of the
you
crap
got to
wafers
stop
we have.
interrupting. You can't
Microwave.
just say so. If I make a claim and then you say you just don't, you just interrupt me and say and stop me,
And I
then you
gave
don't
examples
get
while
to
you were
actually
on.
prove it. So you got to stop. You got to stop and listen to what I have to say first. So yes, everything in quantum mechanics is empirical. That has been confirmed. And
Wrong.
empirical, what we mean is stop, stop. So again, by empirical, what we mean is that you have a hypothesis, you make a testable prediction, that prediction is confirmed, and that's empirical evidence of your hypothesis. So
Evidence of
quarks
quantum
have
physics.
empirical references. I think gluons do, neutrinos definitely do, photons definitely do, electrons do, protons, neutrons. Pretty much everything that's accepted in quantum mechanics is empirically verified, except the newer stuff, which is like many worlds hypothesis, the quantum, the hidden variables, de Broglie quantum wave, or the pilot wave theory, the multiverse. Those aren't, because those are combinations of other things that are empirically verified, but they themselves aren't. But yeah, physics is only allowed to use things that are combinations of principles, particles, and laws that have been empirically verified. All of it.
So if you're finished, all of that is, of course, easily proven false.
Except by the
So
physicists I have
for
on my
example,
channel, who
except for example, I mean, just I have so many examples popping through my head. It's going to be hard to kind of to stay on just one.
just pick
The
one.
recent anti-boson, for example, that was found that completely destroys the standard model. Now we're having to reinvent so many things. The matter antimatter imbalances that were funny. CERN's even had to publish an article saying the universe should not exist because of all these things that we thought were empirical, that we thought were testable and reliable and repeatable, all of a sudden are gone. It's
Like,
destroyed.
what do you
We have
wait?
to reinvent
Empirical doesn't mean
everything
absolute.
now
Empirical
because
doesn't
of
mean
recent
absolute. So what
discoveries.
are you
Hey, I
talking
thought
about?
we weren't interrupting each other.
Well,
So
yeah, I'm trying to
the
understand
other
your
part
point here.
about it is that again, the founders of quantum physics, the people that whom we rely
Irrelevant.
on, talk about how everything you said is stupid. No offense. Not you.
No, no, they
The
don't.
things you say are stupid. So
So I'm
again,
not understanding what you're saying here. You're saying
I,
that
uh, I'm trying to
so
explain it. I'm in the middle of
I'm
explaining it
trying
like
to
you're trying to explain to me the opposite.
no, I want you to go back to the thing where you said we discovered a boson that we have to
Anti-boson.
anti-boson that we have to re-establish the standard model. Like that's still
Not
all
familiar with the standard
empirical.
model?
Yes, I am familiar with the standard model,
You're not
but
familiar
that's
with the,
still
with the
empirical.
challenges of the standard model.
Yes, I am, but that doesn't make it not empirical. Empirical doesn't mean absolutely certain. Like empirical evidence can be proven
Oh, what?
false. That's
Oh, so science is not absolutely certain.
No,
obviously no
it's
one
never
says it
been.
was.
Yeah, you
Obviously,
you have
like
to rely on
step
absolute
one.
certainty to be able to believe things earlier, such as the resurrection of
No,
Christ.
I never said that. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's the whole premise here. You
No, it's
disbelieve. You
not.
don't want to necessarily assert that that the testimony, eyewitness testimonies of the resurrections of Jesus, much less other Lazarus syndrome people, like because again, there's an actual medical terminology called Lazarus syndrome today, where people do self-resuscitate hours and days after they die. But so all of that is just not. You don't believe that because it's not testable. But
No, I
science
don't believe that
is
because it
also
doesn't have.
unreliable is testable.
No, I don't believe that because it doesn't have sufficient evidence. Like I never asked for absolute certainty ever in anything I
Okay.
ever said.
But
So
that's in the
that's
field of
false.
ignorance.
So I'll explain to you the criterion is that.
Well, I didn't get to finish my part, but please, go
Oh,
ahead.
I thought you asked me a question. That's
Please, no. I mean, we're interrupting each other now, so let
well,
me
yeah,
hear your field of ignorance logical fallacy, please.
sure. So If someone told you they saw a dog, that's reasonable to believe. If someone told you they saw a unicorn, that's not reasonable to believe. The
it's not.
difference between these two claims is that one has an empirical basis. So dogs, we have
No, it
lots
doesn't.
of empirical evidence of dogs, such as their taxonomy, phylogeny, genetic makeup, chemical composition, DNA, bones, how to train them, what they're allergic to. We have none of that for unicorns.
You
So
just
it's
contradicted
reasonable to
yourself.
believe the testimony of a dog because you have the testimony of I saw in addition to the empirical evidence. Those two things make it reasonable. Whereas the unicorn, it's not reasonable because you only have the testimony. The testimony justifies nothing. So, and this applies to every single case of testimony. So anything that lacks an empirical basis is not in any case
just
reasonable to believe
contradicted
based on
yourself,
testimony.
Tom.
So that would be
Just
miracles,
contradicted
magic,
yourself.
mythical creatures, paranormal, supernatural UFOs. None of those are reasonable to believe based off of testimony, which is accepted by every
No.
court of law, every
You're
historian,
just
every
blabbering on now
scientific
because you
field.
know you're wrong, sir.
And I
You know
have
you're
proof of
wrong.
this because there's
No.
actually papers that
You
support this,
assume
and I've
you have a
had the people
religious
on my channel
assumption
who say this.
that
So you,
unicorns don't exist.
like
You have
I
a
have the
religious
scientists on
assumption
my
that
channel
dogs do
saying
exist.
this.
So therefore, you are religiously biased that
Nope.
dogs exist and that unicorns don't. So if somebody sees a
Religiously
unicorn that's been
biased?
kept in
You
captivity,
did not
or
say
whatever,
unicorns don't exist.
No, I didn't say that. They could
yes,
exist.
you did. His
You
entire
didn't.
premise, his
No, I
entire
didn't.
conversation
I never
here
said that.
on
What are
the
you
idea
talking?
that since unicorns don't exist, that someone says they saw one, that's
Where
not.
did I say that?
But if
Find
they,
me a quote
you
where I
said
said
it.
that.
That was your first
I
sentence.
never
But if
said that.
someone sees a
That was
dog,
never a
that is
statement.
empirical because dogs
No,
exist in
it's
your
not.
religion. That's the
So
entire
again,
cult of appeal to ignorance, logical fallacy. Yeah, it's frustrating. I understand.
no. Like, if you're claiming something exists in reality, then you need some way to differentiate. Is that a real thing in reality, or is it just imaginary? And empirical evidence is what does that. So, like, if you're not claiming, no,
You would not.
well, no, that would Well, no, that wouldn't work at all. So again, you can't rule out alternatives. You can only rule out very specific possibilities. Like if you said, given your drug example, like we tested his blood to know he can't take drugs. Well, that only rules out the drugs that we can test for, and the ones that don't get dissolved in the body at a certain time. There's a thing in the philosophy of science called the problem of underdetermination. You can never rule out all the alternatives to leave one. It's impossible. You can only give positive evidence for a case. You'd say, I believe he did X, and if he did X, then we're going to make a testable prediction, and that would confirm X. But you can never
Forgive me,
rule
Tom.
out the alternatives. That's not even an option.
Forgive me, Tom. Forgive me, man. But I just wanted to say something. Just on Daniel's point, right? On Daniel's point, and it's interesting you made that point. But on Daniel's point, you know the debate you had with Michael Jones on the digital physics argument and the quantum physics argument. If I remember correctly, Michael Jones listed some the evidence, but you quoted the consensus. Isn't that testimony? Aren't you relying on the testimony, the consensus? Rather than the evidence?
No, in that case,
Also,
he's saying he has empirical evidence, in which case I can't verify it, so I need someone who does, and I'm going to let them verify it. So I haven't said that they've rejected it because I don't know if they've rejected it or not. I'm saying they're the ones who can test that. I can't go let them do it. So it's not, I'm not like relying on their, they haven't said anything. I'm just saying this evidence he's presented, it could be evidence, but I can't verify it. So you need someone who does and give it to them. So I wasn't actually quoting them in that case.
There's Nimad Arkami Ahmad, I think you used to quote a lot on like, again, like as a kind of counter as a counter to Michael Jones' point, but you used him as like a testimonial source. I mean, you didn't do the studies yourself, but I mean, I believe, and it's fine, man. Like, I mean, obviously didn't do the studies myself either, but Michael Jones was listing the evidence, but you believe the testimonial witness, or the testimonial claim, should I say, of Nimar Akani Ahmad, as opposed to Michael Jones' evidence.
I'm not sure what you're talking about here, because the Nimar Akani Hamad is the amplituhedron model, which says that there is a particle that can exist outside of space-time. It's not like, I'm not saying that exists. Like, that's purely meant as a thing to counter the possibility that natural things can't exist without space-time. But I don't actually believe it exists. That's just a hypothetical thing. I'm not like saying there's evidence of this thing.
Right. But my point is, so you're saying that you don't actually believe in the Nimar Akani Ahmad, you're just using it, but you don't believe it.
Right. So the point is that when theists say that you can't have a natural thing that came before space-time, and I say here's a natural thing that could have come before space-time, the whole point is just saying here's a possibility. There's no evidence to support this. It's not like this is something we should believe. It's just here's a possible way that you don't need the supernatural to explain things before space-time. That's all it is.
Got you.
I would further
if I remember Michael Jones's argument, I think he gave like a counter or something. He said that like Nimar Akani Ahmad's paper wasn't actually showing that it doesn't actually debunk his argument. But no, I think I get what you're saying there. You're saying that you don't actually believe in it, but you're just using it as like a kind of a tool to counter what he's saying, basically.
Right, but I don't remember that specific part in the Michael Jones argument, because I remember he presented a paper where he said that idealism made testable predictions about the mathematical similarity between consciousness and quantum mechanics. And I said that I can't verify this, so you need to present this to the experts to see if they can verify it. Like, the whole point of publishing papers in an academic journal is to convince the consensus. That's how science progressed.
So you believe the consensus though, right? So you believe the consensus in like, usually you'd go with the consensus, right?
Yeah. So if you convince the consensus, I'm like, yeah, I gotta lean towards them.
The moment somebody believes
right, so on witness, on testimony. Oh, sorry,
the moment they've left science, gentlemen.
Nope.
Nope.
Can I try
science? 100%. Even Max Planck, Albert Einstein. This is one of the reasons why Albert Einstein testified multiple times to multiple biographers that atheists and scientists are mutually exclusive.
I don't remember that ever occurring.
Quote those directly.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I do not have to understand how a plane works, but I do understand that how clever people, scientists, have worked it out. So therefore, I have confidence within the system, because I looked at the system and worked out how it works. So if a scientist claims something and the rest of the scientists say, yeah, then fair enough. It's the best available model until somebody can come up with a better one.
But the
so I don't have to know every single scientific theory. I just have to know the system is adequate. You only have to study the system.
The problem is, James.
That's what faith is, though, James. That's exactly what theologians do. That's why the founders of NASA said that scientists and theologians are.
Does your computer turn on by magic?
There's no magic.
Does it turn on by science?
Magic. Scientists and theologians are identical.
Do you know how every part of your computer works?
The founder of the scientific method was a theologian.
So if you don't know how your computer works, then it must turn on by magic. Because you cannot believe anybody else.
It's a logical fallacy that atheists always present through their religion.
What
is so, do you know something's wood if you didn't see it get cut down from a tree?
As Einstein himself said,
it's wood because it's labeled as wood and it's got written on China on the back of it.
One single experiment can prove him wrong. So the moment someone claims there's a scientific consensus is the moment they've confessed they've rejected science. I can go into countless examples.
Science produces the best available model.
Anything.
If you come up with a better model, then that will be the new scientific theory.
I don't understand why there's such a huge anti-science mentality these days.
I'll give you an example. We're cavemen and we see lightning.
No, we're not.
We go, wow, lightning. Zeus must have done it. Oh, no. Hail Zeus. Let's go kill some babies and lob them into the volcano. Then somebody says, then someone comes along and says, let's map it.
Up, James.
And then somebody comes along and maps it. And it's no longer supernatural. It's now called lightning.
Apologetics. That has nothing to do with Greek mythology. It's got nothing to do with...
I was using an example.
It's not an example. It's a false.
He's making up. I
take an apple from a tree and I throw it in the air, and guess what? It comes down. I predict next time I throw it in the air, will it come down or will it go into the sky? But I throw it into the air, and guess what? It comes down and hits me on the head again.
If I may, I can interrupt all of this real quickly and say, look, I don't care what the hell you say until you prove it to me scientifically through my training and my career as a scientist. You have to prove it to me. I don't care about your anecdotal opinions.
If you throw an apple in the air, will it come down again?
That depends on how much other attractions there are. With electro weak, strong, and other repulsive forces going on. Depends on where you're at in space and time, as a matter of fact, as well.
Okay, if I shoot you in the head,
I
will
can
you die?
assume anything.
Do you have to watch that happen,
What?
or will you know that will happen?
Shoot? What? I don't.
If I, as an example, put you in a car crusher and I press the button and you get
Start
squashed,
over. I can't understand you when
die.
you're in. I can't hear you unless you wait till I'm finished. Then I can hear you. Say it again.
If I throw you in a volcano, will you die, or do you have to not believe
It
that?
depends
until
on
it
what the
actually happens?
conditions in the volcano are. I'm not going to assume that it's always that. You just reminded me of my brother when he was a teenager in high school. He went to
Okay, then I
Ecuador.
throw you into the sun.
I'm
I
still
drop
talking.
you.
All
I
these kind of
teleport you.
stories about how they walked into this volcano. They got as far as they could until the soot in their eyes.
Okay.
They couldn't see anymore, but they survived in the volcano. Why?
Okay, I teleport you to the sun. I teleport you.
Anecdotal bullcrap.
Will you die, or will you have to wait until you've actually seen it happen first?
What are you asking me now? I couldn't understand you interrupting me again.
If I teleport you to the surface of the sun, would you die, or would you have to wait to see it happen
It depends on if I've got some sort of really cool quantum phasic shield with your teleporter device technology or not, I suppose.
I'm trying to say you can presume.
Which you're doing. You're presuming everything.
You presume that if you went to the sun, you would die.
Outside of the dogma.
Just as you would presume if I threw you in a volcano, you would die.
No, I didn't. I never said that. That's a straw man logical fallacy. You just lied about me, James. You just put words in my mouth to fit your dogma.
Hey, guy.
You come up with a model.
You're lying to me.
A model, unless somebody can come up with a better one.
All kinds of nefarious rhetoric to prove your religion, dude.
So I'll give you the example. You're a caveman and you see lightning. So what's stage 2?
I don't care about your presumptions.
A natural being did it, or do you think?
You have to prove
unknown.
Empirically through the Christian scientific method. End of story.
Come on, let's go for the steps.
You want to talk about? Just ask me questions. Otherwise, I'm not going to care.
Okay, you're an
There's no
ancient
Christian
Roman
scientific
and you've
method. It's
seen
just
lightning.
science.
No, it's a Christian scientific method invented by Christians, by a guy named Bacon, by Sir Francis Bacon. It was always.
So what was the Roman using? What did the Roman use?
Who invented it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Anything
no,
that's
it doesn't.
Gets credited by the author.
Nope. So Christian guy invented the hammer. Is the hammer a Christian hammer? Nope.
Yes, if a Christian guy invented a hammer,
I'm sorry, you don't know.
I don't know who invented the hammer necessarily. That sounds like it probably predated friggin' Egypt.
Jesus was
but regardless, a Christian invented the scientific method. Therefore, that Christian gets the credit for the Christian's scientific method that the Christians used to obey 1 Peter 3:15 to always give an answer for what they believe.
I'm sorry, you're ignorant of how philosophy works.
They formalized the official scientific method still used today by a Christian to obey the Bible. And everything else in Christianity and science, and he did it specifically to get away from the ancient Greek Aristotelian philosophical type base of trying to determine truth.
You need to Google what a genetic fallacy is.
To be able to empirically test things in real-time observation through the Christian's scientific method. And this is why scientists like Einstein and Planck and others testify publicly and professionally that atheists cannot be scientists, because their very premise for their whole philosophy is based on the antithesis of believing things without evidence.
Einstein wasn't a theist, and
yes,
nope, you need to Google what a genetic. No, he wasn't. You can just Google.
You can Google whatever you want, dude. I've got the
because I can prove it. No, I can prove it. I can prove it.
Right here, if you want.
So again,
this is ridiculous. Sorry, guys. Yes, he did. He says he's a Christian, and I can quote it to you.
What? No, he says he is a pantheist.
No, he's not.
As in pantheist, as in a impersonal, just a natural thing. So he doesn't believe in a god.
Actually, he does. He says he believes in God of the Moses, and that he believes that you can get the actual presence of Jesus by just reading a Bible.
No.
People lie about it. In fact,
Einstein
said the thing that pissed him off the most was when people called him an atheist.
Let's say
Einstein expressed his skepticism regarding. Wait. So I'm just.
The Gutkind letter.
I'm quoting Einstein right here. I'm quoting him.
You're going to quote a forgery.
Einstein expressed his skepticism regarding the existence of an anthropomorphic God, such as the God of Abrahamic religions, often described as you as naive and childlike.
Right. No, see, that's the Gutkind forgery. The Gutkind letter.
You can just reject his views and call him a forgery, but he did not believe in God.
It's a forgery because it didn't exist until 200008.
It makes no difference.
This is from 1947. A letter in 1947.
Einstein, including his own family, have ever said since have proven that it's total fraud. Einstein's own sister says that Einstein's favorite book was the Bible. The autographed Bible, the autographs that Einstein signed in his own hand in the Bible.
You're just making shit up. Like,
said the exact opposite of what the 2000 kind forgery says. Einstein said he agreed in Spinoza's God. Guess who Spinoza said was God on page 12 of his reference?
Pantheism. Spinoza was a pantheist.
Pantheism is the belief that God made all things, such as the Bible says in chapter 1.
No, that's not what pantheism is.
That's exactly what it is. And all you're going to do is
Google pantheism. That's not what it is.
No, I'm going to read what I've known my entire life. Google is not God.
Ignorant fool, because I'm actually talking with. I actually work with the professionals on this. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Have you heard of the Church of Google?
Google. Yeah.
The Church of Google. Google is everywhere. Google knows all.
Probably. Yeah, you're just.
Church of Google.
He goes in the library thing, right? Right. It goes into the whole analogy of how we're like children walking into a library. We know that someone wrote the books, and in their languages we don't understand, but they know that somebody wrote the books. That's intelligence design. That's what Einstein believed.
No, so I believe in the God of Spinoza, who reveals himself in harmony of all that exists, not in a God who concerns himself with the fates and doings of mankind. Period.
Okay, what's that quote from?
Einstein.
Which page? Which number? Which book?
Page. It's from his letter from April 24th, 1929 to Rabbi Herbert S. Goldstein.
All right, let's look that up. Let's look at the context real quick. Because he says the exact opposite throughout the rest of his stuff.
No, he doesn't. Like, that's delusional. So
here, I'll quote the exact opposite. Yeah, here real quick. My religion is based on Moses. Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And for me, God is the first cause. David and the prophets knew that there could be no love without justice or justice without love. I need no other religious trappings. Albert Einstein, Third Conversation with William Hermans. Page 108.
What?
View is
No, that's gibberish.
With my limited mind, I'm able to recognize there are yet people who say there is no God. But what makes me really angry is that they quote me for support of such views. Or my favorite one, quote, religion and science go together. As I've said before, science without religion is lame and religion without science is blind. They are interdependent, and have a common goal, the search for truth. Hence, it is absurd for religion to prescribe Galileo or Darwin or other scientists. And it is equally absurd when scientists say there is no God. The real scientist has faith, which does not mean that he must subscribe to a creed. Without religion, there is no charity. The soul given to each of us is moved by the same living spirit that moves the universe. End quote. Albert Einstein. Again, Third Conversation with William Hermans.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry you're just ignorant of Einstein. Like everyone, this is really common knowledge.
He's a personal hero of mine, you jerk.
The word God is for me nothing but the expression and product of human weakness. The Bible is a collection of venerable but still rather primitive legends.
So Einstein says that's a lie when he wrote.
Nope, this is his word. This is in his writing, in his handwriting.
Not in his writing.
Exactly, it is exactly his writing. This is his word.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. You just denying the facts doesn't help you. It just shows your ignorance. Like
there is a formalized.
You're done. You're done. Like I'm done with you. Like if you want to reject reality, I can't deal with you. Like this is.
So now you're going to force your religion on me.
I don't need to force anything on you. This is just reality.
Debate. You just said
go away. Go away. If you want to reject reality, that's fine. But I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to deal with you.
Lying, you're ignoring everything Einstein
ever
said his entire life.
Go away.
So you can believe a single letter that magically appeared in 2008. That's what's going on. That's why Einstein said atheists cannot be scientists.
So what?
Einstein said atheists cannot be scientists. You just proved him right, Tom. It is. It's annoying. I hate it when people lie about my hero. I've studied this guy half my life, and people try to tell me, "Oh, you're just stupid. You're just ignorant. Oh, you're just making stuff up." Bull crap.
So
Einstein
what?
did not like atheists. Einstein said atheists were science deniers, and science and atheists proved him right.
And I'm sure. I'm sure.
It
There's
doesn't matter what you're sure of. We're talking about Einstein, not you.
And
Okay, I need to bail out. I wanted to bail out long ago, man.
Einstein could have been a cannibal.
Atheists
Doesn't make the
hate
science
science
any
and
less
prove
true.
it. They are the stupidest people about science on the planet. Sorry.
Albert Einstein could have been a paedophile. Doesn't make the
matter.
science any less true.
Yeah, like Richard Dawkins, who said that pedophilia should not be a crime. I don't care what you think about Einstein. I care what Einstein
The
thought.
of someone doesn't
I care that
make
Einstein
their
proved God
science
exists.
any less
Tensor
true.
limitations and the space-time equations. I agree with Albert Einstein that the Bible is correct. That the Bible is the only.
Okay, then if the Bible is correct, then why is pi wrong? The Bible clearly says pi is
religiously
wrong.
fanatic atheists are. You start talking about the proof of scientific proof of God from someone like Albert Einstein.
Scientific errors in the Bible. It doesn't get pi
All
right.
they can do is interrupt you
And
with
you
their
agree
religion.
pi. What's the
All
value of
atheists
pi?
can do is interrupt science with their religion.
What's the?
I don't want to hear the scientific evidence that Einstein used to prove God exists. You don't want to hear it. I need to go. I'm done, man. I appreciate it. The atheists have already proven they are the science deniers Albert Einstein complained about. They're done. I'm done.
Yeah,
Any
I think
questions for me on my
I think that topic.
Joe, it's nice to nice having you
I'd
on.
like to go back to the historicity
I
thing,
apologize.
actually.
Go ahead, man.
So yeah, as I was saying earlier, like the consensus in the methodology of history is that history can't be used as a way to assess claims that don't have an empirical basis. So miracles, magic, mythical creatures, the paranormal, supernatural, UFOs, those are not justifiable through historical testimony. In order for testimony to be reliable, it needs to be in addition to the empirical evidence. So the testimony of Paul and Josephus and the historians that Jesus existed is good evidence he existed. Like, I grant that Jesus existed, but it doesn't in any way support the resurrection at all. So why do you think that the evidence you presented can be used to justify the resurrection when in all of the other cases it is not, the testimony isn't sufficient?
I'd love to answer that, Joel. I'm sorry, not Joel. Sorry, TJump. Thank you, man. Again, TJump, I love having you on here, man. It's awesome talking to you. You're way more clever than me, man. So about that thing you asked. So again, with the quarks, if the scientists were lying about the quarks, then it would be mythical. It would be just some sort of mythical fake thing. So, but you believe it without, like, as you and have said, you haven't actually done it because you said that you just don't want to, and I get that. So my point is, and this is what I'll say. So if quarks aren't real, they would be the equivalent of mythical because they wouldn't be real. They're imaginary if they weren't real.
Sure.
But yet you believe it without actually researching. You believe it just on the testimony of the scientists. In the same way, I believe that the Jesus rose from the dead on testimony of the disciples. I believe it's actually real, just like you believe the quarks are real. Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, but again, the difference is that if you take any court of law, any scientific field, anywhere in the world, and you compare these two, like a testimony of a guy like Paul or whoever, and a testimony of a scientist presenting empirical data, these are not ever considered the same thing, ever. So no one considers those to be the same thing. Like, yes, they're both coming from the mouth of a human, but there is a fundamental difference between the types of evidence. One is that it's just based off of what this guy said. And the other one is here's a method you can do to prove this yourself. And that can be confirmed in many different labs across the world by many different scientists across the world who all disagree with each other on many things, but they all confirm the same data. The difference there is that it's not testimony in the case of empirical evidence because it's verifiable and testable through multiple sources. The resurrection isn't testable. You can only just listen to what he says and believe, but the science is testable.
Scientists like me.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Tom. But what I'll say to that is that you say that the scientist in the court of law is testable. He could be spouting nonsense. He could say, "Oh yeah, the mathematical wave function, all this other stuff." But he could be saying nonsense unless you actually do it. And my point is and you and me and other people, we believe that quarks exist. We just take the word for it. Actually, it's not nonsense. We believe in it. Now, with Paul, he actually told, or he implied to the Corinthians who were skeptical of resurrection to go look for the 500. That is a testable way for them to get more accounts of testimonial evidence. In a court of law, and I don't know if you disagree with me here, Tom, but I'm sure you got interesting points to say. But in a court of law, when a detective wants to find a murder, if they have 10 witnesses and all 10 witnesses say, oh yeah, this, you know, they show signs of trauma, they show all these other signs, and they say this man, oh yeah, they describe the same characteristics of the person, then detectives would have enough evidence to convict this man.
Right, in the case of a murder, but if it was in the case of a miracle or magic, or like if someone used a wand and cast a spell and a green light came out and killed somebody, that would immediately be thrown out. Like there's no amount, if you have 100, 500, 10,000 people who saw this, it's going to immediately be thrown out of the courtroom because there's no, what the technical term is precedent. There's no precedent for that event occurring. So in a courtroom, if it's a miracle, magic, mythical creature, the paranormal, supernatural, UFO, anything that doesn't have an empirical basis is immediately thrown out. And I did a debate with Jonathan Sheffield, where I actually listed a bunch of the court cases and the meta studies of all the court cases that actually showed that this UFO case, people invoked God as an eyewitness testimony in some of their cases. And it's quite hilarious what they did. And all of these cases are just thrown out because it doesn't have precedence. It's the same thing as with the I saw a unicorn. If there's no empirical basis for the thing you're claiming, your testimony is insufficient. And the reason that's different from scientific evidence is that scientific evidence has this massive criterion to make sure people aren't lying, which is that everybody from all over the world, all the scientists, are competing with each other to make sure that they're all right. So if a scientist says, I discovered this new particle and I'm going to get famous and rich off of it, then all the other scientists around the world are going to be like, no, I want to prove that wrong as fast as possible because I don't want him to get credit for it. And so whenever you publish something in science, it's critiqued by peer review. Everyone tries to prove it wrong as fast as possible. And so it's reasonable to think that what they're saying is true, because if it wasn't, then someone else in the professional field is probably going to try and destroy it very, very quickly. Whereas that's not the case in just I saw X kind of a thing. That's the difference between the scientific method.
Forgive me for interrupting you, Tom. I'm sorry about that, man. You made some interesting points I'd like to address. So what you just showed there is you listed the scholars, and you said that, okay, if one scholar just says some nonsense about some particle to make money, you said that other scholars who are also experts will debunk him, right? Now this is interesting, right? Because you're showing that you're giving evidence of other testimony of other scholars disproving one testimony, and in the same sense, with the testimony of Jesus Christ, right, or the eyewitnesses of Jesus Christ, we are just showing that the testimony is reliable. Like you're showing us how if someone lied, the testimony is unreliable by using other testimonial evidence. Like you're not going outside that. You get what I'm saying?
It's not.
Well, no, again, so I'm using testimony like I'm using English. Like I require English words to express ideas to you because I don't know Japanese, but that doesn't mean that English is required. So the testimony from the scientist isn't what's important here. That doesn't matter at all. What matters is the empirical data, and the empirical data can convince the experts in the field. The testimony is just, again, irrelevant. They're just expressing the empirical data, and that's it.
But you say about the empirical data. So again, again, you're believing the testimony or the should I say the attestation of the other scholars if they agree with his evidence. Well, what if they're all lying?
But again, what I believe is irrelevant here. So for my choice to believe it is irrelevant. All that matters is the empirical data. So how I got to that knowledge is irrelevant. All that matters is there is this kind of evidence, which is empirical data. And if this kind of evidence exists, then that's good enough. And I'm lazy. My laziness and my choice to believe it because I'm lazy is irrelevant to the evidence. But so the difference is that testimony isn't evidence. It's the empirical thing, which is the evidence.
No, I understand you, Tom, and again, sorry for interrupting you again. But no, I'm just saying that you take them on your word. Like I said, I get you saying you're lazy, and I get you earlier in the point you made the point that you know, it would be more consistent if you actually research. If some scientist says, oh yeah, this new particle exists, here's the function, all this other stuff, and you said, hold on a minute, you studied it and said, okay, now I believe it. That would be more consistent, and you agree that, but you said you're lazy. Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in the same, like from that, I'm just going to say that that's similar to how I believe the resurrection. Like,
oh, right. So I think I got that. I think I got it. So you can choose to believe Paul. That's perfectly reasonable. Now, your choice to believe his testimony isn't evidence, and my choice to believe the testimony of the scientist isn't evidence either. The testimony on both cases isn't evidence, and our choice to believe them isn't evidence. But what is evidence is the empirical data that they present. That is evidence.
So I'll interject and say, why do you? So if you only believe in things that are evidential, why do you believe them?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm lazy. I believe lots of silly things.
No, but you say you do believe them. So why do you believe them?
No. Yeah.
Sorry,
So
apologies.
I don't believe things only based off of good evidence. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. I believe things off of testimony all the time because I'm lazy. Like if you told me that you had a Ferrari, I'd probably just believe you because I'm lazy. So my laziness and the choice for me to believe doesn't make the belief justified. What would make the belief justified is if there's empirical evidence. So my choice to believe is irrelevant to the conversation. It's like, is it justified to believe that the resurrection happened based off Paul's testimony? No. Is it justified to believe that a quark was discovered in the Large Hadron Collider because a scientist in front of you said so? No. That's not reasonable in either case. I'm lazy. I'm going to believe the scientist just based off of induction. But no, that doesn't make it reasonable. What makes it reasonable is the science done in the Large Hadron Collider.
1 sec. Can I test this?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead. I'll get back to you, Tom. Go ahead, James.
I'll give an example. I believe the scientific community has an overall beneficial collectiveness in coming up with accurate models, and bad actors are purged. I don't have to believe in the science, I just have to believe in the method. Because when I was in school, I learned the method adequately enough to know how the system works. So as long as you know the system works, you can then be confident what that system produces is then consistent. Or if it's not consistent, it's always going in a better, greater model of the world. There, that's it.
Right. So are you saying that, so when you say you believe in the method, what do you mean by that?
I'll give an example. Have you ever been on an aeroplane?
Mm-hmm.
Did you believe it flew by magic, or did you believe it flew by science?
Yeah, science.
Therefore, did you go off and study it, or did you just take it on faith that it wasn't going to crash? No, to take off.
Yeah, I just trusted the pilots that they knew they were what they were doing.
So what I'm saying is, because you had faith, the system, because your experience has taught you the system is consistent and produces adequate results. And your life experience from school upwards has taught you that if you buy something off Amazon and it doesn't arrive, you're going to get your money back. Because you believe in the system. You don't have to buy every time and ponder, is it going to come? Is it going to come? Oh, look, it did arrive.
So James,
you believe in the system. So believing in the scientific method and the scientific community, yes, there has been bad actors over the years, and you can easily point to them. But overall, the system is designed to purge bad actors and to always get better.
So James, so my contention with this is it's over reliability, really. The reason I trust in the plane is going to fly is because I know it's reliable. Many millions of people have went on this plane and it flew and they haven't crashed. And so I know if I go on it, the probability is so high that I'm not going to crash. In the same sense, you believe in the testimony of the of scientists. You believe that the probability of them lying is so high because of the method.
It's not them lying. I trust the system has been built that bad actors will be easily purged.
Right. But
there's an example. If you produced a scientific paper right now that said the world was flat, a minute later, someone will produce a better paper that says, no, look, it's round. I've been into space. So you would instantly be purged, as an example.
Right, but you trust in the reliability of the method. I'm talking about. I trust in exactly. And I trust in the plane because of the reliability of the method. And so in the same sense, of the method flying. And so I trust in the testimony of the eyewitnesses because of their reliability. It's the same thing. Or similar.
So I don't need to know the individual science. I just have to know the system. So the system, I can be confident. Now, when it comes to religious claims, the system of verifying it is as iffy and as vague as Bigfoot exists. Prove otherwise.
James, as I said, if these scientists were not telling truth, say in a hypothetical world, these scientists were not true, right?
Yes, it could be a grand conspiracy, and Australia doesn't exist.
All right. Now, I mean, with Australia, we have video footage, but let's go deep. Let's go.
That could all be faked. I don't accept the possibility that when I got on a plane, they just played a video screen. I've never actually left my hometown. When I got on a bus, it was all fake.
Cool.
Have you ever seen that movie where the one guy from the beginning, from his birth, he was in a dome and everybody around him was just actors and they all filmed him?
Yeah, the Truman Show.
So you could be in that example right now. Or you could be, the point is you just have to take certain things by being, although you can never get any further in logic. I can't remember what the official term is, but you have to presume that you're not in the Matrix. The world around you actually does exist.
Yeah, the vat in the box and this other stuff. No, but I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
you have to initially get over that initial presumption. Once you've agreed that, then you can look at other things and go from there. So,
right. So James,
if I could
sorry.
break down, this I went and took 500 random supernatural claims randomly right now, not entire claims, but parts, and you came up with a consistent method that I could throw you a fang and you could say real or fake, or not, or don't know. It's acceptable to say you don't know, and that's what I have found religion to very easily can do against other religions. I'm sure you could spend forever criticizing Islam or worshipping Thor or Zeus, but as soon as it comes to Christianity, there always seems to be special privilege. I've always noticed being
So James,
granted.
can I answer your objection, please?
Yes.
Thank you, man. So again, with the method, you trust in the method. So if there was a grand conspiracy of scholars and they all said some fake particle existed and it didn't really, that would be considered supernatural. It wouldn't be natural because it doesn't exist. It's not real, but we would assume it is. And so my point is you would still believe that though, just because of the method, just because of the reliability.
I hate the word belief. I have confidence.
Exactly. You'd have confidence because of the reliability. And so what I'm saying is I have confidence in the eyewitness testimony of the disciples because of their reliability. Do you see what I'm saying?
But the claim, I'll give an example. If I could interview them eyewitness testimony, that would be different, but I can't. I can only take their claim from the same source that is the one making the claim. So if I read Harry Potter, it could discuss how Ronald Weasley saw Harry Potter cast a spell. Are you going to believe it? Because it was written there. Ronald Weasley saw him.
There's no reliability.
And his mother saw him. Because it's all from the same story. Now,
no, I get you.
So what I've noticed with the Bible is the Bible cannot prove the Bible.
No, but again, the letters can be proven historically accurate and have a high probability of reliability, as I mentioned earlier. And so that's why even atheist scholars agree that some of the things actually happened. Like
so let's take a good example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the clay. We're going to try and. I'm going to think of one of the more famous cases.
Sorry, James. Before you go on, can I just say something? Sorry, Tom. Sorry, Joel. So forgive me if it's taking too long. If you get annoyed or anything, let me know.
If anybody else wants to speak, just say.
Yeah. If you want to speak, just let me know. Carry on, James.
Okay.
Actually, James. Forgive me. I just want to say something to James. Hey, James, are you willing to just carry a debate with just because I don't want to hold on these two people. I know your time is valuable, John, Tom, and Joel. So if James, if you want, we can carry on this debate. Just Daniel will be the moderator. Me and you can just carry it on. And I just really don't want to waste Tom's junk. He's very busy, and so are you, Joel. So forgive me, guys, and thank you very much for coming in. Yeah. And forgive me, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, Tom is muted. Yeah, I think you're the admin. You can unmute Tom.
Yeah, can you ask your pastor if he's can ask permission to put it on YouTube next time?
Yeah. No, I presumed it was going to already be streamed anyway.
And
Thanks.
so,
Yeah.
sorry for sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry, forgive me, man.
I was just saying thanks because he was giving me a comment. That's it.
Oh, right. I was going to say sorry for interrupting Daniel as well. It's the delay, man. It's a nightmare on this stuff, man. I really got to sort it out. You know, it's a nightmare. But hey, Tom, I again, I'm sorry if it got heated, man. I do really appreciate you coming on, man. And you know, you make good points, man. I mean, you know, you're a very clever guy, and of course, it's great having Joel on here as well. And you know, I hope you're the best, Tom. Hope you're the best man and everything. You could always, if you just want to,
Thanks.
you know, chat or something, send me a message, bro. Always there to chat.
Yeah. Would you want to have a conversation on my YouTube channel sometime?
I'll get absolutely clapped and destroyed, but yeah, sure, let's do it.
Cool.
I appreciate you guys as well. I've been typing.
So thanks so much for that, Tom. Thanks, man. That'd be great.
For sure.
I've been trying to just kind of type some stuff while I was, you know, waiting for things to cool down. But yeah, I'll be glad to join. Like I was saying in the text with you, Daniel, I debate this stuff every day. So yeah, especially if you guys want, you know, more controversial, you know, actual scientists to get in there. I typed in what, you know, my take on creation versus evolution already. But yeah, and as far as, you know, like with what got heated earlier, yeah, Tom, I mean, I was trying to, you know, reinforce your own thing about not wanting to interrupt each other, and you just kind of kept interrupting you as well, James. You guys got to learn to kind of practice what you preach, and you know, and don't you know, say things are wrong because you want to believe like Einstein, you know.
I'm sorry, but you're kind of a fool. I can't really take you seriously, dude. Sorry.
Oh yeah, see, okay, well then that just proves that you're not really here to actually debate. It's just ad hominem logic.
You can check out my channel where I talk with the experts in the field every day. Like, I'm sorry, you're just not someone to take seriously. You're not. You're not.
Why they don't exist in where I actually work. They only
I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously, dude.
Where people like you, who need to call everybody that disbelieves your religion a fool, exists. So that's why, like I was trying to say, I was trying to get Tom and everybody to kind of understand, if they can practice what they preach and be civilized, we can probably have a much more calmer conversation other than being lied to constantly. I agree more with it's neither. I agree more with people like Lennox or even Planck himself, even Einstein himself. There, especially Einstein. I love Einstein's scientific evidence for creation. Jastrow's as well, where they go into how even though Panzea did find the 4 millivolt CMBR explanation that makes it the assumption of a 13.8 to 13.6 billion year old universe, the idea that the time dilation is still also an issue could make the age of the universe anything. It could make it 6 seconds old. In fact, there's a lot of interesting science out there that talks about the universe is constantly being created, as you know, as a it's either or. You know, hopefully
Yeah,
we'll get
thank you
called
so
fools
much,
next
guys.
time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Can you guys drop a link to your channel in the chat, to your YouTube channel?
Mine? TJump? Sure.
Could you? Brilliant.
Hey, Dan.
Excellent.
Sick. Sponsored by TJump.
Getting internet connection stuff. You okay?
What?
You guys hear me? Yeah, I was thinking a better way to clarify, to answer your question, Dan, before I forget it again, daggone it. Oh, yeah, the old Earth versus young Earth creation debate, in my opinion, is it's since both theories are all creationists only. It's Christians that come up with the science for both sides. It's basically it's two adults wanting to talk about their conversation while the I guess the atheists they don't have any stake in the game. It's I don't know if I can translate that well. Basically, both can be right with the science. That makes sense.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
What did lions eat?
Read the what? Oh, yeah. Giant lizards, right?
No, it's
That?
flies. I've killed a dozen of them today alone. It'd be flies.
Right. Yeah, it's all assumption. That's why I like to kind of stick to just the science of it. How space-time equations can actually say that, again, it's easy. The science can prove the Earth was created at any amount of time. I think Tom muted himself again.
Hmm, sure. I just want to know who's in the chat right now. Okay.
I can hang if you guys
All
don't
right, cool.
mind.
So I would like to continue